Hi, my name is Sharon Brown, and I am a foster mother for Bethany Christian Services here in Milwaukee. I do have 5 adopted children, or we have 5 adopted children in our family. And at the time when we were starting foster care, we had 3 children, and we felt that those children had the love of foster homes when they were before we adopted them. So we were kind of completing the circle and trying to do for more children what others did for our own. I love children, always have. I was an obstetric nurse for my whole career as a nurse, and I just can't get enough of children. As my husband said when we married, I wanted a dozen children, and he said, now you've got your dozen and then some. We have fostered 70 children since we've started on with our foster care license. We've been foster parents now for 8 years, and 70 children is what have come through our home. When children come into foster care, there are a lot of issues both for the children and for those birth parents. And the hardest thing is for them to understand that I'm here for them and for their children. And I'm here as their caregiver, a caregiver to their children for them while they are doing what needs to be done to regain custody of their children again. We have just enjoyed this immensely. These 8 years, we've seen so many children come into our homes that have just been a wreck. I think the children are first very frightened and scared by all the drama that's going on. You know, once children, they can see in you. Once they feel that this is a secure place, once they realize that, you know, we care about them, you know, they warm up and they begin to trust. It takes a while for trust, though, to build up, and you just need to give them boundaries and love and attention, and they turn around pretty fast. They're a part of our lives, and I treat them as the rest of my family does, as a part of our family. We call them our extended family. Even my 3-year-old and 7-year-old can't wait till another child comes in our home and they call them their brothers or their sister. I think I've gotten better at this, but my husband says, maybe not so much. But the problem that I have is, and all of us do, is we love these children as our own. We constantly have updates and we constantly have pictures. We appreciate life and what we have and our own children so much more. You're never going to find a nicer group of people than you will find at Bethany Christian Services. Everyone, absolutely everyone, from the secretary behind the desk to the lawyer that they work with, and they will do everything they can to make this a good experience as a foster family. And I meet people when they see the children with me out in the stores or wherever we go, and they say, oh, that's something I always wanted to do, but I just didn't think I could do it. I just want these people to realize that if you ever felt a need to do that, go for it. There's nothing that you can get in life as you do from a child when they come in scared and they leave hugging you.
I think it basically was the biggest shock of my life. It impacted my family a little bit more than it impacted me. I had to drop out of college actually and just take that kind of stress out of my life. It was an emergency C-section, so it was definitely not in my birth plan. I almost felt like I let my adoptive family down because it wasn't planned, it wasn't perfect like everything else had been. It was just tragic almost for me. But I kept telling myself that he's gonna have the best life possible. That was probably one of the most difficult days of my life. It was very hard. My life kind of took a really bad turn. You're never ready for postpartum depression, and with the added fact that I had the adoption in there, it was really difficult, and not necessarily regret, but constant feelings of, is he gonna hate me? Is he going to resent me for giving him to someone else? A lot of people think you're being selfish giving up your child and placing them in someone else's hands, but it's really a good choice when you don't have the funding and you don't have a father and you don't have, you know, the same values as other people, and there's no struggle. My goddaughter is actually adopted through Bethany, so upon talking with one of my sisters and knowing that I didn't want a split home and that I believe that a mommy and daddy should always be in a child's life, I spoke with her and decided that Bethany would be the best option. The birth father and I actually decided together. Bethany has a website where parents can upload a video of themselves explaining their values and what they're looking for, and decided right then and there that Bethany and that adoptive family was the perfect fit. Making the birth plan and then the open agreement for the years after was definitely something that maybe kind of strive for the adoption and go through with it, knowing that I was going to have contact with my son and his adoptive parents. I never feel like I have to hide my feelings or hold back. We talk very freely. We meet up quite frequently during the year and just really enjoy each other's conversation and time. There's no struggle any longer, and that's what our life would have been if I would have kept him in my home. It would have been a constant struggle. And he's got every single thing that he could ever need. Everything that I feel I could not give him is something that makes me so happy, and it just gives me this peace of mind that I've made the right decision 100%.
Before we adopted, we didn't have any kids. It was just the two of us, and we had been married for 7 years, 8 years almost. So we had been fairly used to life as we knew it, with no kids, working, and involved in other things. So it was a big change.
Well, Jennifer and I met in college, actually on a missions trip to South Africa. And part of that trip we worked in AIDS orphanages. And it's a pretty sobering experience to see children that are toddlers, 2 or 3 years old, that aren't going to be alive much longer. You feel like everything you're doing is important before you have kids. You know, our careers were a big focus, and you know, our friends, and doing things on weekends, and that was important. And then you, particularly if you adopt, you start to see such a need in the world that exists beyond what you can physically see.
Adoption has always been a first choice for us. We always knew we wanted to adopt, and as we started to look into what countries were open to adoptions, it became very obvious to us that the way that adoptions were going were, especially international adoptions, were along the lines of special needs.
People just bring a child in and they put the child in your arms, and suddenly the person you've been praying for a long time is someone that you're holding.
These girls had faced incredible loss in their lives, even though it was such a joyful experience to get them and receive them into our families. It wasn't always, not all of it is joyful, and that was hard too, to realize that they had been through so much by the time we received them.
There's 153 some million orphans, counting kids in the U.S. foster care system. When you've been and seen kids in the U.S. foster care system, or you see these Chinese orphanages or other orphanages, I just really feel like it reorients your perspective on life.
We never pictured ourselves going down this road of artificial legs, prostheses, therapy like this, but it's been such a rewarding experience to see them just thrive. Certain special needs that may seem daunting at first, for example, amputation, missing limbs, something that we didn't necessarily picture ourselves dealing with, has become something that is a part of our everyday lives. The highs are certainly higher. There's obviously been some lows as well, and sometimes those feel lower, but overall, I would say our lives have so much more joy.
I mean, we attend church and we consider ourselves Christians, and I guess it's an aha moment as well, but something broader. It's helped us realize that we're adopted members of God's family, and that we often speak of brothers and sisters in Christ, and sometimes I hear friends say, or family, and I totally understand this. We'll say, well, we want our own children first, and then maybe we'd consider adopting. And we're glad to hear that they would love to consider adopting. We consider Anna and Ivy our own children, just like we're children of God. That God has got an open attitude in terms of what adoption is and what it looks like. And yeah, obviously there's been difficulties in some respects, but that's been a huge blessing to kind of help us realize as Christians what it means to really be a son and daughter of God.